Hey, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to another video, and this is a paid request for Phil. Thank you so much for that. For those interested in requesting any type of videos, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal. I do have a Cash App as well. Links are down below in the info box, and I'll get to it as soon as I can. And for those who sent them, thank you. I really do appreciate it. And this is for Goodfellas, the 1990 film directed by Martin Scorsese. Now, I do quite like Scorsese. It does not mean I like every film he's done, but there's a lot that he's done. I like Taxi Driver. I like After Hours. Wolf of Wall Street, I remember really liking. Casino. Like this and Casino, they are exceptions to films of. I usually complain about a movie that's fairly long, but that's what I mean. If you don't be that long, you really gotta hook me in and take me on for a ride. Like JFK with Oliver Stone did that for me. Scorsese has done that for me with, again, this. Wolf of Wall Street, which is pretty long. Casino. You really have to have some talent behind the camera. Hell, James Cameron, Aliens, especially if you watch the special edition cut, is a fairly long film. You really got to be in the hands of some talented filmmaker to really stretch it out that long and make it work. Here, it's like 2.5 hours, and I didn't really feel bored with it. I think that helps because despite its running time, Scorsese brings this ferocious energy to it. So it never seems like the story is lagging. We're always going forward. Because it goes from like 1955 to like 1980, and something's always happening. And it's either like good tracking shots, like that shot that's going through the club with no cuts, excellent cast, where you're really following the up and down details of particular our lead character played by Ray Liotta, who goes from this kid who's doing deliveries in the neighborhood around 1955 to work his way up to be part more of jobs, meeting Robert De Niro's character, Jimmy the Gent, meeting Joe Pesci's character, carjacking, stealing booze and cigarettes, meeting a wife, getting married to her, having kids, getting arrested for the first time and how to deal with that. Like all this stuff going up and down through his life. It always keeps a forward momentum. It doesn't lollygag and let's spend 20 minutes on this one subplot. As I know, like we'll spend a little bit, but it doesn't feel like any of this subplots overstays its welcome. And the cast itself is really good. Ray Liotta, may he rest in peace. I was very saddened to hear when he passed away, because he was such a great actor. Underused actor too, may I say. Because like he popped up in this, and understandably so, people more focused on Joe Pesci because Joe Pesci did a phenomenal job. Hell, he won the Oscar. And this is one of the biggest years for Joe Pesci's career because this came out, which he won an Oscar, and then a few months later, Home Alone came out, and at the time became one of the most profitable movies, especially comedies, of all time. And then that led to My Cousin Vinny, and then you had Lethal Weapon 3, and then you had the films like The Super, and other movies. Home Alone 2. So this is like the heyday of Joe Pesci. And it's a wonderful performance. But Ray Liotta does a really good job getting us through this guy who, just from his face, you see that he's not 100% gung-ho with some of the things Pesci does, or even some of the things De Niro does. So while he's doing bad things, you have a little bit of, like, I don't know if sympathy, but like you get that he's not gun-ho. Like, he's able to tell you a bit of the character without having to lead you by the hand via dialogue. Although There's quite a bit of dialogue, and he narrates his story as well. But it doesn't feel like, even if it's exposition, it doesn't feel like it's because Ray Liotta delivers it in such a natural manner. And I think that helps with the script, which, from what I understand, what they would do is they would ad lib, maybe not the narration, but like when they're filming scenes, they would, okay, what do you think you're going to say, and rehearsals. Okay, I like that bit, I'll put it in the script, and we'll stick with that. I think that's where the Pesci funny, like, how am I funny? Like I'm a clown? Like I'm a clown? Like I abuse you? I think that came from the, when they're doing rehearsals, ad-lib something, then you put that in the script, and when you shoot the film. So it's preparation. It's not doing shit last minute and, oh shit, we'll just do it in post and try to fix it in post. If you did a pile of shit, you could put sprinkles and whipped cream on it. It's still going to be shit. Still not going to taste good. I've never eaten shit, but I can know it's not going to taste good. I could guess. I'm psychic that way. But people don't want to have preparation. Less preparation H for the hemorrhoids they get from sitting on their ass doing nothing, directing some of these shitty films nowadays. Sorry, anyway. But, yeah, Ray Liotta, I mean, he did films. I mean, Unlawful Entry, he was good. He starred in that film No Escape, which, that's a film I want to like more than I do. Like, it's not bad. I don't think it's horrible, but something about that film I always found disappointing, man. Like, that's a film that I want to like more than I do. Maybe because I wanted more action, I wanted Ray Liotta to kick more ass. I don't know, just something about it was lacking for me. Unforgettable. I forgot about, so go figure. He's great in Copland, though. He's wonderful in Copland. Being right now, bulletproof vest, Freddy. He's wonderful in Copland. Anyway. Yeah, I thought he was good in Observe and Report. Even Wild Hogs, I didn't mind him in. So, it was always nice to see Ray Liotta in the film. Sadly, he's no longer with us. Sad that one of the last films he did was that fucking Cocaine Bear movie. But anyway. He does a really good job in this. You also have Robert De Niro. Then in a way, he's a bit more low-key in this. I mean, he has good moments. But there are times you kind of almost forget Robert De Niro's in the movie. Because we're concentrating on Ray Liotta, and then Joe Pesci is such a blazing fire of personality that De Niro at times almost feels like he just not lost in the shuffle. Like, it works for the movie, but I think there are times I'm like, oh yeah, De Niro's in this, like, as I'm watching it. And like watching it again, I forgot, like, I want to say I forgot how little he was in it, but that's not really fair because he's in it a decent amount, but I guess for sure I remember he was in it even more than I for sure remember his running time being more than it was. But he still does good as Jimmy the Gent. Listen, Joe Pesci is a firecracker, he's a fireball. You don't know what's going to happen with him. Whether he's going to shoot you or laugh with you. Whether, like, this kid doesn't get him a drink. And why don't he move his ass? So he shoots his foot. Then later on when the kid says, fuck you. Oh yeah? And then kills the kid. And you see how everyone's, like, in shock over this. Like, what the hell are you doing? Or this guy that talks about, why don't you go home and get your fucking shoe shine box. Shoe shine box. Bosh, they get some out of the shoe shine box. And Joe Pesci just beats the shit out of him, kills him, even though he's a made man. So he definitely, you just see why he won the Oscar in terms of just, he has that blistering personality that definitely stands out. Definitely stands out in the film. Definitely a memorable part of the film. And yeah, it just how it shows the landscape of going from the 50s to the 80s, and you just even then you really get a sense of the different times where it felt almost like weirdly more innocent in the 50s, as even though he's doing things for the mob, it's still he's parking cars and he's doing deliveries. And like one time he gets arrested and then he gets out and he's like, oh, I thought he'd be mad. No, you didn't talk, okay? That you did the right thing. Oh, he busted his cherry. Hey, guys. And they're celebrating. You busted your cherry. You finally got arrested. I thought that was kind of funny. Paul Sorvino, great character actor who was in, I think it was Money Talks he was in. He was in The Stuff. You can't see it, but I have The Stuff canister Larry Cohen behind this poster. Good character actor Paul Sorvino. He plays the head boss. Works very well in the role. And then when you get to the 70s, things are a bit more dangerous. Especially with Joe Pesci's character. I don't know why I keep wanting to say Pacino. That's the Irishman. Which I was surprised the Irishman... Like, they had De Niro, they had Pesci, and then they brought in Pacino. I don't know why, I'm just surprised they didn't have Ray Liotta in there somewhere. I don't know. I try to think, did Scorsese ever use Ray Liotta again? I don't know. If not, I don't know why. Seems a bit... That would seem a bit of a shame that, you know, here's the star. He is the star of the movie. And obviously, you know, he would use De Niro and Pesci again in Casino. Then again, The Irishman. De Niro, of course, used a lot. Cape Fear, other stuff. But, yeah, I could be wrong, but I don't think he ever used Ray Liotta again. I don't know why. Because again, Ray Liotta, I mean, he has a good way of saying the lines, like when they have to, when he's explaining to the audience about this guy made a deal with Paul Sorvino to help his restaurant, but now that you made the deal, you have to pay every week no matter what. So it's like, hey, something happens, fuck you, pay me. You had a fire? Sorry, too bad. Fuck you, pay me. And there's a lot of stuff you can kind of... They're memorable and you want to repeat in real life. Fuck you, pay me. Or, you think I'm funny, huh? Am I a clown? I amuse you if I think I'm funny? Which, I mean, they don't really do that in movies anymore. Now, maybe it takes time for a film to become classic, to be fair, but... Man. And then you look at like the slate of films coming out. Oh, what's coming out? It's The Wolfman. It's Den of Thieves 2. It's Fantastic Four. Two Steps Behind. Whatever the fuck it's called. It's Final Destination 6. It's... I Know We Did Last Summer. The Running Man remake. Thunderbolts and Lightning. What the fuck? Like, Super Cock. I miss this era of movies. I really do. I really do, man. And not every single fucking film was 2.5, 3 hours long. It's like, okay, if it's going to be that long, it did it with a purpose. Again, you follow Ray Liotta's life, where you follow, again, him as a kid. There's some fun bits of, I thought, humor. I thought they were funny. Like the kid's been cut in school to do deliveries for the mob, and they got a letter from the family got a letter from the mailman that the school says, hey, he's been missing for a while. So the kid's like, I can't deliver anymore. My dad will kill me. He'll beat me up more if I do. So they go, for a split second, I remember when I first saw this, I thought, oh, they don't beat up his dad. No, they beat up the mailman. They go, you see this kid? You know where he lives? Okay, you get another letter from school? In the fucking oven you don't go with your head first. You hear me? In the fucking oven. And also, it's a very violent film. Like, it has that visceral, violent tone. I mean, hell, one of the first scenes is our characters in a car. You hear something bang in the trunk. That someone's still alive, and Joe Pesci's stabbing the shit out of the guy. De Niro shoots it, and then Ray Liotta is like goes to his narration. He's like, "Oh, well, that's a way to start the movie." Again, it has some good-looking shots. I mentioned the when you first see the nightclub, and it's a tracking shot going through the whole club, not cutting around, and people kind of like, "Hey, how's it going?" As Ray Liotta is mentioning who each of these people are. Granted, some of them, I don't know if we ever see them again. Or if we do, I don't recognize them. Like the guy that repeated himself twice. I don't know if we ever saw him again. Or maybe it was just me being stupid. But it gave a nice vibe to this world of our lead character being pulled into, being seduced into this world. And just having so much money that you live so vicariously, and to live in a way where you don't have to worry about bills anymore and you do whatever you want is definitely a tempting venture. And then meeting the girl that become his wife. I keep forgetting that's Lorraine Bracco, who I believe played the psychiatrist in The Sopranos. Because I saw the first 2 or so seasons, just someone had me do commentaries for episodes. He stopped, so I didn't see the rest of it, but what I saw I liked. I liked it. I did some good camera work, like when Ray Liotta finds out that someone touched his wife, he stops the car, gets his gun, we follow him walk across the street, and the guy's like, "What do you want?" And he's just like beats the shit out of him with the butt of the gun to really sell. Like, you don't want to mess with this guy, don't mess with his wife. And then we follow back, and while she's scared, it's like, wow, that was, to her, it was exciting, it was arousing, it was a reason to stay with him. Now, we, in terms of character development, we don't get a whole lot of, say, Ray Liotta his character has kids. We don't see a lot of him dealing with his kids, having any interactions with his kids. Granted, it didn't bother me because, I mean, it's a long enough movie as is. If we start putting that stuff into it, it might as well be 3 hours long. So, as well, how long can you make the film? Granted, I mean, there's a part of me that would like to see a bit more to the character of, like, did he really love his kids, or there were moments that he loved his wife, and like he did get this mistress, which then the wife finds out and pulls a gun on him. He takes away and beats her a bit. But again, we don't really get much of the sense of the kids and what, if they ever find out what their dad did. I think eventually by 1980, I guess the kids have moved out, gone to college, whatever. Like I say, you don't really get a sense of the kids. I don't know why I make it. It's just one of those things I noticed watching it again. Again, it's not a detriment to the movie, but it's just one of those things that just popped in my head. Like, like we don't really get a lot with them in it. I don't know why that kept popping in my head. Maybe because I see Lorraine Bracco in The Sopranos, and I'm seeing like the way Tony had to deal with his kids and all that stuff, and because of the benefit of a TV show, you're able to explore that a bit, and how that could be a bit not only dramatic, but how it could be kind of a weird sticky situation where if your kids do find out what you're doing, then do they approve? Do they disapprove? Are they conflicted? etc. I mean, I don't know if I want to go into the full plot. I mean, people know Goodfellas by this point. I also thought it was interesting that there's this big robbery at the JFK airport vault, this heist. We never see the heist. And I'm assuming that was never filmed. I get it. How long do you want to make the film to be? Part of me would like to have seen that heist. I don't know why. Just for me, it would have been nice to see. Because we see how they carjack, which is pretty much, hey, we're going to take your car. But it would have been nice to see like how they plan an actual heist and how they make that come about. It's just Ray Liotta hears it happen on the radio, and then De Niro's getting pissed that some people are spending too much money when they're not supposed to. Thus, then you see this series, which I like, this montage of where these bodies are found, which is just kind of just gives a grisly aftermath to everything, where these people that De Niro seemed friendly with, now they're being found, dead in cars or in a meat truck, frozen and hung, and just gives a bit of that distrust of, it may have its benefits, but goddamn, it doesn't have much of a retirement program, does it? But it really does a showcase that De Niro's character is willing to do whatever, just at the possibility that maybe somehow he'll get screwed over. And of course, that comes in the later with De Niro and Ray Liotta. Other effective scenes, so spoilers for a film from 1990. The bit with Joe Pesci where he thinks he's a made man, he comes in, you see that the room, there's nobody there. And then Joe has that realization, oh shit. And then, pfft. And it's like, you tell it's a really nasty, practical blood squid with blood flying up. They cut it quick. Now, granted, I don't know that was because of the MPAA or, you saw enough to make it effective. Like, ooh, shit. But it definitely really showcases the violence in the business and how you gotta be careful in there. And when you bite the hand that feeds you and you start pushing, you don't be pushed back hard right into the right into the grave. That's what happened to Joe Pesci's character. I'd probably say his death in Casino felt more vicious to me. Because I think that was in the cornfield. Something about that seemed even more vicious to me. Which I think Casino is even longer than Goodfellas, I believe. I could be wrong on that. But yeah. And I always forget, Samuel L. Jackson's in this movie. Because apparently he was the driver of that vault heist. And you only see him in one scene where Joe Pesci sees him, visits him, and Sam says like a couple words and then he gets killed. I'm like, oh shit, that's Sam Jackson. I was like, well, goddamn, he was in like every other movie back in the day. He was in Spike Lee films, he was in Jurassic Park, he was in Coming to America, he was in this movie. Then, Die Hard with Vengeance, and so forth. And of course, Pulp Fiction and others. So, like, damn. Sam really got around, man. He really got around. By this point, Sam had not really done a whole lot. Like I said, yeah, Coming to America was it 89 or 88? I'll just check real quick. I always forget. 88. So yeah, 2 years before, he was a guy that robbed McDougal's, not McDonald's. So he wasn't known as a big star. Wasn't he in Eddie Murphy's Raw? Like in the stuff before they went to the live show? Was that Sam Jackson? Yeah, it is. Okay. Alright. Sorry, I just wanted to double check. And then you get to so all this stuff's happening. And then you get to 1980, where now... I kind of thought they could have done a bit more with how Ray Liotta first finds cocaine. I kind of liked his first thought of it, like no one knew what it was, or people said it was going to be a big deal, and kind of his introduction to cocaine, and he wasn't sure if he tried to do it, then he does do it, then he get hooked on it. It's just kind of all of a sudden he's hooked on cocaine. I kind of wish there was a bit more build up to that. Because it really does feel like you go to one thing and then boom, you're 1980 and he's coked down his mind and he's paranoid, and feel like there's a bit of a gap. Which, I mean, there is, but it's like, wow, it felt like we... Like if there was a TV show, it felt like we missed a couple episodes. But I mean, like I say, it definitely gives a different vibe from like the more innocent times to the 80s. The decade of decadence and... You know, cocaine heavy. You know, cocaine's a hell of a drug. And I kind of want to see how he got into such a bad cocaine habit style of affairs. But I mean, I guess you didn't need it. And ultimately, he gets popped. De Niro and them are worried he'll talk. Ray Liotta kind of figures out De Niro's going to kill him if he goes on this trip. He becomes an informant. This nice kind of breaking the fourth wall where they're in the courtroom, and then he stops. He starts talking to the audience. I thought that was kind of a nice idea, neat idea. And I do like the way it ends, where he's on like the picket, the average neighborhood, the boring neighborhood, where you go on and there's the lawn, there's the newspaper, doesn't have the rich lifestyle, the great clubs. He even complains he can't get good spaghetti. I'm an average nobody. Was it Fanuc? What did he say? I'm trying to remember, like, what was the... Schnook. See, the hardest thing for me was leaving the life. Still love the life. We ran everything. We paid off cops. We paid off lawyers. We paid off judges. Everybody had their hands out. Everything was for the taking. Now it's all over. And that's the hardest part. Today everything's different. There's no action. I have to wait around like everyone else. Can't even get decent food. Right after I got here, I ordered some spaghetti with marinara sauce. I got egg noodles and ketchup. I'm an average nobody. I get to live the rest of my life like a schnook. And that's the thing is, weirdly enough, I mean, on the one hand, he does live, he does survive, and it's kind of a happy ending, but at the same time, it's like, how do you have a happy ending but still give him a bit of a punishment? It's like, he's not in jail, and he's not dead, but he's forced to live like us. Away from the lifestyle, the rich and famous and all that. Just live like a jabroni, live like a schnook. And Jerkwater USA. Something about that, I remember, like, when I first saw it, I went, okay, that's a nice way to end it. I know it's loosely based on real events. I think the real guy Ray Liotta like is based on died in like 2012. He was like in his late 60s, I believe. I think. And now, of course, he's in witness protection. Now, when you're in witness protection, I'm assuming you don't have to pay for your bills. I wonder how that works in witness protection. Like, how do your bills get paid? I would assume they pay for it, because how you don't get a job where someone may find you, see you, and oh, he's over here try to kill you. Same with food. Like, do you go to the store and fear that someone may recognize you? I don't know. It's not like I could ask someone, hey, you're in witness protection, how is it? How does it go? But, I don't know. But with that said, thanks for watching. Take care. This is a great film. Wonderful movie. Nice usage of music from the times. Doesn't really have a score. That's the interesting thing. Like, it doesn't really have a musical score, which is a bit unique. And when you do hear music, just songs from that era, so. If it does have a score, I don't remember a damn thing about it. I don't think it really has much of one. Which, again, was an interesting choice. Yeah, wonderfully directed. Goes at a good pace. Not boring. Well acted. Just to be a great movie. Like, to me, this... I so much like this better than the Godfather films. Because I'm sorry, the Godfather films just bore the piss out of me. And I think Martin Scorsese is a hell of a lot better filmmaker than Francis Ford Coppola. And fuck Coppola, by the way. Scorsese, I think he's much more talented, much better, in my opinion. So with that said, thanks for watching. Take care. And we'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye for now.